Lord's 48th annual Passover.
Sunday, April 9th at sundown.
$100 per person or $100 per family. Dragon Community Center, Co-op City, the Boogie Down Bronx, New York.
177 Jars of Loot, Bronx, New York. 10475.
$100 per person or per family. Send your funds in today, no excuses.
Down from $150 thanks to Commander General YAHANNA. He pay your way, pay for somebody else's. Send in your funds today, no excuses.
Along West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Here to let you know, you blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the true chosen people of the Lord. Under Commander General YAHANNA, we are not affiliated with any other group, period. This is the I.S.U.P.K. Cincinnati class. I'm Priest and Officer Potawatami, Alabama, and I want to bring out today the curses in Deuteronomy. A lot of you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians don't know that you're the chosen people of the Lord, the lost 12 tribes of the children of Israel. So what we're going to do today is bring out a few of the curses. We're not going to break down all of Deuteronomy 28, but we're going to bring out a few of the curses that you find, and you can basically look through certain events in history and see how it's affected you as a people. So let's get into it. The first verse we're going to get is Deuteronomy 28 and 15. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So here we find Moses in the wilderness with the people. And basically he's pointing out to them that God has already laid out, the Most High has already laid out a plan for them. Either you're going to do what the Lord says and you're going to be blessed. And that's the first part of Deuteronomy 28. It goes through the blessings. If the children of Israel were obedient to the word of the Most High, how they will be blessed. And then in verse 15, we get into Moses now warning the people. You got to understand that this warning just wasn't for those people in the wilderness at that time. It was for the generation of people that would come after them, right? So again, verse 15 is just saying, hey, pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, because if you don't keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, this is what's going to befall you. All right, so let's get verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. You can see the effects of that today. We're cursed in the city, we're cursed in the field, we're cursed no matter where we go as a people. No matter where you go across the globe, you'll find a ghetto with black people in it. Somewhere on the bottom, somewhere being oppressed, somewhere where we shouldn't be. Because the Lord said that we were a holy people, and holy means separate, and we're precious to the Lord. But we sinned against the Lord, and he told us in Deuteronomy, if we didn't keep his law, statutes, and commandments, that we would be cursed. So we definitely cursed in these cities. You go and you look in any major city across the U.S., across the globe. Again, we're going to be on the bottom. We're going to be struggling. We're going to be getting shot down in the street by the cops. We're going to be getting shot down in the streets by each other. We're going to be aborting our babies. All these epidemics, all these problems is all a result of our disobedience. When the Most High warned us to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, and we didn't. All right, so let's get some more. Let's drop down to Deuteronomy 28 and 30. Verse 30, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Now, some of these curses that I'm going to, and if you haven't read Deuteronomy chapter 28, the entire chapter, you need to get in there. If you just now coming into this understanding or trying to research, you at the beginning stages of understanding if you part of the 12 lost tribes, you got to read Deuteronomy chapter 28, because a lot of these things in here you're going to see and say that happened in history, that happened in history, that happened in history. And, that's for all these crack pipes that say the Bible ain't real. Like, this is prophesied thousands of years ago. You understand? So you got to get in here and you got to read this chapter. And again, you're going to look at certain events through history and you're going to say that happened. And again, we're not going to hit all the curses, but just some of them that called out. You know, a lot of these slave movies are out now. So you see something on the big screen and it kind of brings it to life for you. And for me, you know, especially seeing something like Birth of a Nation, which was a good movie, you know, you got to see it if you haven't seen it. But basically, you know, in the story, he betrothed the wife, you know, and another man laid with her. You know, she was raped in the movie. And that's a curse here. And you see that, you can read about that all throughout history that happened to the slaves here in America, or a lot of the Spanish tribes that were conquered, you know, down in Puerto Rico and Mexico and all in those lands. All right, so let's get that. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Again, that's one of those things where you can definitely see how that occurred during the time of slavery, how we built houses as slaves. You know, we built things. Slaves built the White House. You know, we never dwelt in there. That so-called black man, he's not a black man. Barack Obama, he's African. He's not. His foreparents didn't suffer the same thing our foreparents suffered. So you understand, we haven't dwelled in that house. We built all kinds of stuff. We built major cities. We built the city of Chicago. You understand? So all these different things we've done, places we built, you know, vineyards we planted. We worked those fields, but we didn't reap the benefits. But that's a curse from the Lord. Let's drop down to verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. And that one right there, again, a lot of these movies, you go back, whether it be 12 Years a Slave, you know, they got all kind of The Color Purple. From since I've been old enough to really recognize what's going on in movies, you can see something where some black person had a baby and that baby was taken away from them into slavery. And again, that's a prophecy from the Lord. He said it would happen. He said, if you don't keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, that's what's going to happen to you. As horrible as it is. But the Lord know that we're stiff-necked people. And we don't understand. We just keep sinning, just like today. The same thing that was happening back then is happening now. You know, we don't want to stop aborting our babies. We want to be homosexuals. We don't want to stop worshiping the white man, Christianity. You know, we don't want to stop practicing Islam. Like, we got to come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. The Bible is not a religious book. The Bible is a book of laws, statutes, and commandments. And we got to have the understanding that that's what we got to get back to. All right, so let's get some more. Verse 33. The fruit of thy land, all thy labors, and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed away. And to me, this verse really spoke about the Native American Indians. Like, America, the white man basically came here and just gobbled up everything. And to this day, still won't hold a peace treaty with them, still won't let them have the land that he said was theirs. Like, he just want to gobble everything up. And that verse, that's what I think of when I read that verse, is how he just came here and just killed off all the buffalo, knowing that it was a way of life for them, knowing that they depended on the buffalo to survive, whether it was for food or whether it was, you know, to build teepees or, you know, whatever. They used the hides for those buffaloes. So they, you know, it's multi-purpose. They wasn't wasteful with, you know, the buffalo. And he came here and gobbled that all up. And that's a heavy scripture to me when I think about the oppression that they went through and still going through today. All right, so let's get Deuteronomy 28 and 36. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. And again, all these curses here in Deuteronomy 28 is heavy, but every time I read one, it's like, man, that one's heavy too, because if you go and look at the history of how these people are set above us, not only the white man, but all other nations that come here are above us. You understand? And like, we've been here, 400 plus years as a people. And, some, obviously the Native Americans and the Hispanics were here prior to that, coming from the northern tribe. But all the people that come here after the so-called blacks, you understand, they all above us. They in your neighborhoods, they got businesses. And I just heard about, went around the corner to one of the stores, 2 Asian folks in there running. One's a manager training, barely speak English, but yet they run in the store. And you as a black man, you got to go in there and basically beg just to get a little $9, $10 an hour job. You understand? But they come in here not even knowing the language fully. They only know the flavors of the ice cream. You say anything outside that flavor, they don't know what you said. So that's kind of the condition. But that's what's so heavy about this verse, right? And the other heavy part about that is, not only this nation we didn't know, obviously speaking for, the blacks that were taken into, the so-called blacks that were taken in captivity, we were brought to America and we were given basically Christianity. And a lot of so-called blacks here, they think they become enlightened when they get into this Islam. Islam ain't nothing but another form of Christianity. You understand? You need to get this book, From Babylon to Timbuktu. You can kind of get some history on Islam and how it started, and understand that it's all garbage, it's all trash. So those are those other guys that were serving. Christianity is that wood, Islam is that stone, the wooden cross and that stone that they bow down and pray to and do whatever else, want to make love to the stone over there in Mecca. All right, so let's get some more. 37, and thou shalt become an astonishment. Like, other nations are astonished at us. They don't understand how we in the condition that we in. You basically look at how they look at us. You read any article about how we're perceived, and we're perceived as dumb and stupid to these other nations, and they don't understand why we're in the condition that we're in. But the Bible right here tells you why you're in the condition that you're in. It's because you disobeyed the Lord. And it also says, I'm going to take it from the top. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. Right? A proverb and a byword. And they got all kind of names for us. African American, black, Hispanic, spig, nigga, whatever under this, all these names under those are not our names. You understand? Our names are Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon. Those are, at least, the English versions of those names, but in the Hebrew is Yashala, Israel. You understand? We are the 12 lost tribes of the nation of Israel. And those are our true names. But these other nations, they got an astonishment of why you're in the condition you're in. They just don't understand why we're on the bottom, and they look at us with just such despise and disgust and disdain. You understand? But let's get some more. Verse 41. Thou shalt begot sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. And again, like I said, all these curses in Deuteronomy is heavy, but each time you read one, he's like, that happens, and you look at other nations throughout history. Who did it happen to on a large scale? You understand? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Yet your children were the children that were taken into captivity. You had children and couldn't enjoy them. You understand? You look at it this way in this day and time too. At the abortion rate that just the black women in America alone are having, over 350,000 abortions a year. Like, you having these kids and you're not getting to enjoy them. And at this point, you don't even want to enjoy them. You killing them off. Like, we got to come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments and understand that that's a sin. You understand? You got to keep that baby. You keep that child. Get some help called the I.S.U.P.K. You understand? We're gonna help you out. You get a part of this school, pay your tithes, you know, attend classes, start learning this knowledge of the Lord, and you're gonna be better off for it. All right, let's get 28 and 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high. And again, earlier I talked about how these strangers, basically any other nation outside the nation of Israel, these strangers come to America and they get put above you. The Koreans come here, they open up nail shops and hair shops, and black women spend all your hard-earned money in there to this other nation. We need to keep that money in our nation, you know what I'm saying? Y'all get together, you know, y'all open up a hair store. Y'all shop, y'all get your own hair. I prefer women. I don't let my woman wear no weave. I don't even want a woman with weave. I want a woman with some natural hair, you understand? If it's short, you got to rock it like that, you understand? Until it grows. Because you ain't putting no weave in your hair. But these other nations, it says, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high. Meaning you in the low state. You know, all these other nations is Arabs got chicken joints, you know, cell phone places, and the Koreans got all the hair and the nails, and you know they serving dog, cat, and rat in your neighborhood at these little rundown shacks. So all these nations come here and they start businesses, and they gobble up all your resources and they take it back to their community. You understand? Because you don't have any businesses in your neighborhood. You might got a couple or a handful, you know. But for the most part, these other nations, they have businesses in your community. Right? We're going to keep going to 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. And that one basically break down itself. You understand? Like as a nation of people, and that's how you have to look at these curses in Deuteronomy. The Lord didn't judge us individually. He judged us as a nation. You understand? That's why as a nation, we're on the bottom wherever you look. Wherever there's so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we are on the bottom because he judged us as a nation. And it's basically, you know, as a nation, we don't have lending power to lend to other nations. Like we go to white people for loans. We go to whoever. Rarely are we able to go to each other, you know what I'm saying, with the handful of black financial institutions we have, are we able to go to each other and get loans. But as a nation of people, we borrow, we don't lend. That wasn't the time, you know, that's not how it's supposed to be. The Lord said that we're supposed to be above all nations. We're supposed to be number one, the nation of Israel. But we're not right now. And you can see that as a result today. We don't lend to anyone. All we do is borrow. We're a nation of consumers. We don't produce our own wealth. You understand? All right, so let's get some more. Let's get 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. The Lord is basically saying, you're not keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. You're not happy about keeping them when they were put in place to help us. Like the Lord knew, like when he tells you not to be a homosexual, don't be a homosexual, because more than likely you're going to catch AIDS. You're going to catch some filthy, nasty disease. And not only is you going to catch a disease, it's just filthy and disgusting to begin with. You understand? The Lord said, don't sell drugs. You know, he suffers a witch not to live. You understand that? Like all these things that are in the law that he said don't do, don't sleep with another man's woman. Like how many brothers been shot and killed over sleeping with another man? You know how men, you know how we is, you know how you feel about your woman. You don't want nobody even looking at you. Let a brother look at my woman wrong. You understand? There's gonna be problems. But think about the laws that the Lord put in place for us to keep and understand that he wasn't just saying that as an option. It ain't no option. And that's why we curse today, because we looked at it as an option. You know what? I know better. Like, you know, it's wrong to go sleep with another man's woman, because when you do it, you're trying to creep around. If it wasn't wrong, you'd be all out in the open doing it. You understand? So these laws, again, they was put in place for you to keep them, and it's for your own benefit, because the wages of sin are death. You understand? Let's get 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. And this one again is so heavy because we came here for all these crack pipes today. You know, they think that the white man's a friend. Oh, he's not our enemy. We can come together with them. Ain't no coming together with the white man. Not now, not ever. We've been here long enough trying to come together with the white man. It don't work. We can't come together with no other nation. The only people that we can come together with is ourselves, and that's blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Like, we the only people that we can come together with, because every other nation is going to gobble us up. I mean, you see these articles, like, if you're not watching The Grill with Commanding General YAHANNA, you got to watch that show, because the stories he bring out is so heavy. And last week with the story about the Korean shop owner, like, basically manhandling this young black sister, you understand, for something that he thought she stole. Come to find out she didn't steal it. But it's so heavy how he brings these stories out. Like, you got to get in tune with this nation and with these lessons. Like, get in these classes and start getting some of this knowledge. But all the wickedness that's going on against us as a people, like, they hate us here. You understand? So you got to take that. You got to take that love that you have for these other nations and bring it back to your nation. You understand? Like, who needs more love than blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians? You understand? The Hispanics is being deported. Native American Indians can't even dwell on the land that was given to them. And you already know the situation with blacks. You gunned down in the streets, you pouring on the bottom and everything else. You understand? So that's why 48 is so heavy. But it says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. Meaning, whatever you need drink for the house, you need clothes for your back, you need electricity for your house. You understand? Like, in the want of all things, whatever you need, you have to go to another nation to get that. We're a nation of consumers. We don't produce. We don't have the resources. I ain't gonna say we don't have the resources, because we definitely got the resources. It's all going to the Christian church right now, but that's gonna stop soon. But we're a nation that just consumes and consumes. We have to go to the white man for everything. You understand? Like, we don't have the capability right now to provide ourselves with what we need. Like, you can't survive without, clean running water. You got to have water. You need clothes. You understand? We got to go to the white man for clothes. Like, whatever you need, you got to go to these other nations to get it, because you can't get it for yourself. And he shall put a yoke of iron around thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Like, and that's an easy thing to research, except if you've been Carson, you understand? Like, you're the only nuts that think that we were happy to come over here. But, if you black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian, you understand, black people came over here, they had yokes of iron around their neck, you understand? Like, your foreparents came here with yokes of iron. And if you don't believe that, you can Google it. You can see it in just about any slave movie, how they were, basically chained together with yokes of iron around their neck. And that's an easy thing to research. And that's biblical prophecy. And you think about how heavy that is. Thousands of years ago, in the wilderness, Moses is saying, hey, if you don't keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, guess what's happening? The Lord gonna send a nation against you. You're going to want, in all things, you're not going to be able to get nothing for yourself. You're going to have to come to him for everything. And he's going to put a yoke of iron around your neck until you destroy it. And that's where we are today. We are destroyed. The yokes of iron is gone, but we still destroyed, just like the Bible says. Like, we lost as a people. And that's why it's the 12 lost tribes of Israel. And Jesus said, go out to the lost sheep. You understand? We are lost. And the only way you're going to find your way back is in the I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General YAHANNA. You understand that? So let's get more. Let's get verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as an eagle flieth. Like, when you look at all these European nations, you understand, whether it's Great Britain or, the U.S., like, their symbol is an eagle. And that's symbolic of, the eagle is supposed to be you know, a fierce predator. It's a predator bird, basically. You know, it gobbles up other birds, snakes, whatever, you know. It's a very fierce bird. And that's what the Lord is saying. This nation that's going to come up against you is fierce. It's coming from the end of the earth, meaning not from a place that you had dwelled. You dwelled somewhere. You dwelled in the land of Israel, you understand? And you had to flee and go to Africa when you was trying to get away from the Romans. You understand? But the Lord brought a nation against you as swift as an eagle. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Like, English was not your language prior to slavery. Like, I think that's pretty much common knowledge now. You know, a lot of black people, you think you African, you're not African. Your foreparents may have dwelled in Africa, but you fled to Africa from Jerusalem because of oppression. You understand? Again, like, if you haven't read this book, From Babylon to Timbuktu, you need to get that. In fact, you need to go on the website, ISUPK.com. You need to go on the resources. And once you click on the resources, you're going to see a whole list of recommended books that you should be reading. Like, you don't have to take our word for it. You know, get in these classes and get in these books and start doing some research for yourself. And you'll see where there's smoke, there's fire. You understand? So you're going to start doing some research and you're going to start doing some reading. You're going to see, yeah, this is true. You understand? There's archaeology out there that's going to prove, that's going to point you in the direction and say, okay, maybe I need to dig a little bit more. Don't trust what we say and get in there and read it for yourself. Verse 50, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. Like, you can see that today. Like, this nation has a fierce countenance, you know, from young boys being shot in Walmart to old ladies being shot in their home. You can see these stories all the time. Again, you got to check out the Grill with Commander Junior Hunter, because he brings out some of these stories and it's so heavy because you can see the exact parallel between what's written here in the scriptures and what's happening. Like, they don't regard the old or the young. It don't matter. If you Black, Hispanic, or Native American Indian, they don't care about you. They don't give a damn. They looking for any opportunity to shoot you down. What you got to do is come into the school and get that protection under the Most High. You understand? Let's get some more. Let's get verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy father have known, even wood and stone. And again, we talked about what did you believe in prior to slavery? You know what I'm saying? You didn't believe in Christianity. Christianity is the religion of the oppressor. You understand? The KKK, guess what they are? They're Christians. They burn crosses in yards. You understand? Like, something's got to be wrong with you if you still practicing Christianity, understanding that the Bible don't talk about a white Jesus. The color of Jesus in the Bible says that he is a very dark-skinned man, you understand, with woolly hair. Like, you can't get that white homosexual looking image from that description in the Bible. It's not in here and you're not going to find it. So for you to still be practicing Christianity, you know, and the whole is all based on that image. You know, people still believe that Christ is white. Christ is not white. Christ was a Black man from the tribe of Judah. You understand? That's why you got to get in these classes so you can start getting some of this understanding. But basically, as a people, we're all over. The Bible says we're scattered all over, and that was a curse. You know, that's why you see some of us, you know, down in the Caribbean islands, or, you know, down all throughout South and Central and South America. And we're all spread out here. Like, we don't have a strong nation of us together. You understand? We're all scattered. We're all scattered across the world. And that's even, you can find that even today. Like, the schools always bring out how, you know, brothers who went to Vietnam, you know, they fathered children over there, you know, and the lineage is through your father. So, you know, a Black man over in Vietnam in the 60s, you understand, and father the child with one of those little Vietnamese women, that's an Israelite. You understand? His mom's a heathen, but that boy or girl's an Israelite. You understand? And it just says that we're scattered all across the world. And again, it's saying here how we were going to serve other gods. Like our foreparents didn't practice Christianity. They didn't practice Islam. You understand? They knew about the Most High. They knew that we were 12 lost tribes, and that knowledge was taken away from you and kept from you, and is hidden from you to this day, because America knows who you are. It might not be your average white man on the streets. He might not know it. But guess what? America knows who we are as a people, and they'll do anything to hide this knowledge from you. And that's why we stand on these street corners and cry inside and try to wake you up so you can get this knowledge and understanding. Because once you know that you're Israel, then you got to start doing something. And that's keeping these law, statutes, and commandments. All right. So let's get one more. Let's get Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And I know I said it again, but the curses in Deuteronomy are so heavy. And this last one has really got me when I read this. Like I was blown away. You understand? Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. So, and Egypt is a word that simply means bondage. You understand? Like you'll find that throughout the scriptures where the Lord will say, you know, Egypt, the house of bondage. Like scriptures specifically say the house of bondage. You'll see that in the scriptures. And Egypt simply means bondage. And so the Lord is saying, I'm going to bring you into Egypt again. And you got to think, how would the Lord, okay, the Lord is saying, I'm going to bring you into Egypt again. So, you know, if you in the wilderness with Moses, you're saying, okay, if we disobey, we don't go into Egypt again, right? And that should have been scary enough. If you go back and read what happened, you understand, to us when we was in the land of Egypt, we was oppressed just like we're oppressed here today in America. We were slaves, just like you're a slave here today in America. And if you don't believe a slave, try to go out and, you know, leave the country without a passport. Or, you know, stop working for a little bit. You'll find out real soon that you're a slave and you got to get back to that job. Right. But here's the heavy part. I'm going to read it again from the top. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. So the Lord is saying you're going to go back into Egypt again with ships. And if they in the so-called, you know, in that Middle East, in that land, like, why would they need ships to go back into Egypt? You wouldn't need ships to go back into Egypt. You understand? They walked from Egypt. They walked, you know, the Lord opened up the Red Sea. They crossed the Red Sea, went into, you know, the wilderness where the Lord was trying them, basically. And so they would need ships to go back to Egypt. That prophecy was about the slaves, your foreparents, you understand, being led into bondage from Africa into the United States. You understand? And that ain't happened to another race of people like it happened to the black people. You understand? So that prophecy is about you. It says, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. The Lord is basically saying you're not going to see that land anymore again. And you're going to be sold to your enemies. You're going to go back into bondage on ships, which happened to black people, you understand, which happened to Hispanic people. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. So the Bible is basically calling the white man your enemy. You're going to be sold unto your enemies. You understand that? Like, white man is not your friend. You're not going to be able to come together with him. You're not going to be able to reason with him. Well, you know, I mean, how many times you got to see us get killed down in the street before you understand, like, there's no coming together with a nation. You are the undesired on earth, you understand? You are a nation not desired. Like, and if you don't get that now, like, you got to get it. You got to get that understanding, because ain't no coming together with these other nations. The Lord is saying, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Like, you got to think about that scripture being wrote thousands of years ago. How the Lord said you're going to be sold into bondage for bondmen and bondwomen to your enemies, and you're going to go into slavery on ships, and no man shall buy you, meaning no man is going to redeem you out of that condition. No man is going to save you. And no man did save us. And I always say this for, for the people who think that we Africans, like, why is there not a nation calling for us to come back to Africa? Why didn't some African nation come and buy us out of slavery or say, let our people go, or we're going to start a war with you? Like, that didn't happen. And it'll never happen because we're not African. Because it was Africans that sold us into slavery. You understand? Like, we are different people. You can look at Africans and tell that you're not African. I mean, very seldom do one look like, a black man. Very seldom. Like, it's rare you might glance at them, but after you get to talking to them and take a closer look, we are different people. You understand? Africans are different from us. And that's why no African nation has came and got you or redeemed you or bought you, because you're not African and you're not part of it. You know that you're different people. And you can see that today when Africans come over here, they don't dwell with you. You might know a friend too, a so-called friend that you kind of maybe hung out with or kicked it with that was from Africa. But you look at people from Ethiopia, they kick it together. You understand? They have businesses together. They don't let you in on their little business. The little Africans on the street selling stuff, they don't let you in on that hustle. You know what I mean? You got to start your own hustle. They got oils and fake Rolexes and everything else, but they're not letting you in on that. They're not starting businesses with you. They're not at your rallies, where you making a fool of yourself out there, standing out there begging the white man for justice. They're not at those rallies. They doing what they sticking together with their people. Understand? So, and that's basically, what the Lord said would happen. And again, go back and read Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, and look at all the blessings. And we didn't cover any of the blessings because, obviously it didn't play out that way, but still go back and read it, and definitely read the curses and look at certain events through history. And like, you got to understand that this is talking about you, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. This is your life being played out here in these scriptures. So you got to get to the point where you start attending these classes so you can get these breakdowns and get these scriptures so you know what it is you need to do in these last days. You understand? So again, check out Commander General YAHANNA from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday nights. That's the grill. That's the head of this nation. And this man just drops, the heavy stories. And check out, get online and see all the other schedules. I know it's a lot of other brothers who got radio shows, and we got classes all week from 7 to 9 Eastern Time, Tuesday through Friday. So with that, shalom.